And good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us for this session of Webinar Wednesday. Today we're going to look at another example of an application in GeoSync GO+. Today we're going to look at one of the pieces of our fire planning application, the fire incident tracking. And with the, as part of the fire incident tracking, we definitely want to take advantage of our everyday technology and everyday workflows. We want to use mobile technology, phones, tablets, cloud, web, utilize our GIS data for this type of everyday work, not for all of us, but for our firefighters, kind of an everyday workflow. They need to track incidents, the runs they take. So we want to utilize this technology to help in that effort. So first off, our fire planning application contains multiple pieces. It can do manage and create and manage pre-plan information, hazard locations, and the topic we're discussing today, incident collection, basically tracking the runs that the department takes. We can locate and manage draft locations, do hydrant testing. We've already seen that one in an earlier webinar, and track information about our station, the resources at each fire station. So the incident collection. First off, since we are working on a mapping-based data management system, we do want to know the location of the incident. That would be fairly obvious. We need run information: who, what, when, where, what time, when we got there, what happened, what resources we used, and the like. That will be mostly tabular, like spreadsheet type information. We would also like to capture images about that incident, the things that happened that we may need to refer back to. And as I mentioned earlier, we would like to track all this information with some modern everyday technology like our smartphones, a tablet, or even a laptop. The first thing we need to look at is the workflow design. As we've mentioned in multiple webinars, we talk about workflows. That's the GeoSync GO term for our database, our structure, primarily the database we're storing the information in. So our design of our workflow, we need to first, as with any workflow, determine the item that we are working with, specify categories, in this case, say incident types. We may want to sort by incident type, so that's something we'd obviously want to track. And we would need descriptions of the different items. We would want to know when the report was created, when the date of the report that it was finished. We'll need comments. We'll need things like address, status of the item, such as if the report is open, if it's closed, if we're under review. In this case, if it were an inspection going on. And then also we want to know the times, basically when we were notified of the incident, when we arrived on scene, when we departed, when we basically left. And you can see on the right here, this is actually a view of the report, which is a direct view of the database that we've created to collect all this information for the incident. And we can see we have an incident ID. Typically, that's a CAD ID. If you have a CAD run number, you want to put that in if you have it. The agency, primary agency is responding. In case I've made up some, but we may even track our own run numbers for the department, so we'll know that. We'll put the time in that we were that notification came in. We can put the occurrence time if we had that, when the actual call came in to our dispatch center, when we arrived on scene, what time we departed, when we finished, we closed out the incident and left. The type of incidents, whether it's a structure fire, a traffic incident, a brush fire, or what have you, just the type of incident, we may want to look at that separately. So all the information we want to know about this incident, we build our workflow, which includes the database and the forms, and basically a container for all the information for this workflow. So now the process of the incident collection is fairly simple. We will want to typically we would want to do this on scene in the field, but it can actually be collected after the fact in the office, or in the station, if you will, where you may want to actually put the information in afterwards. In that case, you may or may not get photos and have the real-time information flowing there. It's not nice, but anyway, you can do field or office data entry. We can utilize the GPS location, or we can actually, so the first thing is to find the location on the map, where if we have a GPS enabled device, we can utilize that location to start a report from the GPS. We can actually do an address search. We can also just manually zoom the map and click on it. Say like for a brush fire, you may not have an address that you can search for on that actual spot. So first thing, you want to find that location on the map and select it. And we'll go through a live demonstration of this in just a moment. The next step in the process would be to create the field report. That basically consists of starting a report, selecting your fire event, and filling out the form, the information we discussed earlier. And if you so choose, you could also attach media to that, or a photograph. So the incident collection, not only can we utilize it in the field, this information is readily available in with GeoSync GO Plus, almost with basically real time, almost instantly. And when the when the report is completed, photos are attached, that information travels through the magic cloud. But it will also show, the information will show up almost instantly in real time at the station or in the office. So a manager can see what's going on. And also in the office environment or in the station, you can make corrections to the reports that were done if something was left out. So you didn't have the run ID or the CAT ID or the run number, or there's a piece that you didn't have in the field, that can be added later. You can also schedule a follow-up, say if there's an inspection required at that instant. We had a situation that required a follow-up. We could schedule that. We could mark it as open or under review if we needed to. So you can make changes in the station or in the office. And all this work is, of course, the reason for doing this is to track and record all of these runs or these incidents. So in the station or in the office, you can actually analyze all this information and create reports of the runs. Another piece, talking about an office environment for reporting, we have our GeoSync GO AM Tools dashboard that you can utilize. Basically, it's a dashboard where we list all of the incidents, everything that's gone on that we've collected. So all of those runs, all those records are here. They can be sorted. You can print them. You can do reports, look at the photos, and so on. So now let's take a look at this actual the application itself. Now I've got GeoSync GO Plus, got my map situated to resemble more of a phone or tablet style display. The map is open. We want to go in. In this case, I have my fire events turned off because I may not want to see them all the time. So if I wanted to start a new event, as I mentioned before, we can actually, if I had GPS turned on, I could basically select a GPS location and start a report. I can also have my searches where I may want to search for that location by an address. This one's at 3275 Blazer. Oops. There's Blazer, that menu, that's the location. So I can start a report. I can also simply pan around the map, zoom, and find my location. Right-click and get the same startup. So this is the location that I've determined my location here. The X, it closes that location. We don't, in case we don't want to do anything with that. If we don't want to start a report, we can either select the folder here or click New Collection. Either way, it brings up a list of the forms for the reports that we have developed for this. In this case, the fire event. I'll select fire event and basically just enter the information. Agency responding, we'll say this is City Station 2, run number 2016-007. I'm making up numbers here. Notified time, we were notified at 22:11. I'm using military time here. The occurrence time, I don't know that yet. I may not be concerned with that. We were on scene at 22, just across the street, so we'll say 22:14. The depart time, we departed the station at 22:12. The incident type, we'll say this is a structure fire. Address, 3275 Laser Parkway. Scroll down. Responding equipment. Let's say we had engine 2, ladder 2, and a chief is there. The chief's vehicle. Equipment used, we can, or the resources we use, we can put that in. We can enter personnel, the agencies that responded, other agencies that responded, and incident status. At the moment, this is open. That could actually be made as a default. So I've entered the information I want. I can save that. So I have, get rid of that. In a matter of seconds, we'll have a point pop up for that. Oh, turn the layer on if I want to see that. You can see I actually have my instance color-coded. In this case, I have them coded by their status. The black dots, I've got those as closed, so they don't stand out quite as much. The open instance are red squares, and anything I'm doing under review, I've got investigation, I have orange circles. So, and that's all, of course, customizable GeoSync GO. Now, at this point, if I am on scene, I can go back, I can click on that point, go to my collection, and I can make modifications to this if I want. I can say, okay, now this is actually closed. We're finished. I'll save that. And if I want, I can also add media to this. At any point, I can add media to this. So I can do add media if I'm on a phone or a tablet, something that has a camera that's accessible. We could actually capture. We have an option to capture the photos. So when you click that, it actually activates the camera, takes a photo, and connects. In this case, I'm on a Windows device. I do not have a camera, so I would need to attach photos that I have taken. I attached my structure fire photo, it's there. And at any time, I can go back and look at that photo, that structure. And you can do multiple photos. Let's check, see if there's anything else on here that I need to change. Okay, status is closed. There it goes. And you see I changed the status to closed. My dot turns to black. So that incident or that run is completed. If we look, I mentioned the dashboard, and GeoSync GO AM tool, Cloud AM tools, here is a view, a live view of that dashboard, all the runs that we've had. This we can actually sort. We can look at the different look at the photos that are attached by splitting the screen. That one doesn't have one. We can sort by address, by any of the headers, instance types. We can do, let's see. We can actually print a report in here. It's just a very generic report that has the information that we've entered as well as the photos. And you can also, if we needed to, from the office, or we can edit the events, the runs from here as well. And that concludes the webinar for instant tracking for fire planning. Thank you very much.